The market is absolutely a rocket ship right now, taking off to the moon with these tech earnings. They continuously come in with these massive beats. Last week was Tesla. This week we have Google stepping up to start off the tech earnings. All right. So we also have McDonald's and SoFi that I want to discuss, and AMD a little bit lackluster. So if you're here for all of that, just some brief market updates. If you're in my community inside of Leverage University, welcome. I appreciate you guys and ladies so much. Hit that like button and subscribe button along with the notification bell. That really does help out a lot. It allows me to continue to be inspired to make more of these videos, educational and updates more frequently. So really quick, if you don't know who I am, my name is Dr. B. I'm a holistic life and business coach and strategist for entrepreneurs and thought leaders. I'm also an investor and options trader, and then former pharmacist, undergrad in chemistry, and then matriculated my way up for the past 8 years as a full-time entrepreneur. So I know there's a lot of people these days that are wanting to just build their own brand, their own skill set where they can develop some money for themselves, start thinking like an investor, and kind of get out of the rat race of that monotony. And there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5 or a W-2 or a corporate job. It's just being able to know that you are the value, right? Not just an employee that gets a check, right? If you're comfortable with that, that's great. But I'm here to push you and inspire you to be better, or want to be better, desire to be better. And if you're about that, you're in the right place. All right. So let's jump into it. That's enough of me spurring you on. We've got Google, or Alphabet, GOOGL. All right. Earnings killed it. Revenue killed it. Their ad revenue on YouTube killed it. Google Cloud revenue killed it. And their traffic acquisition costs killed it. All right. Alphabet revenue grew 15% year over year. The company reported a blowout cloud revenue up nearly 35%. The company attributed some cloud revenue results to their AI offerings, which was kind of expected there. Everyone was kind of looming on how their guidance for their AI push would be, and that absolutely blew it out of the water. All right. So that is our main tech earning that came in after hours. So yeah, just absolutely killed it. I'll go over the others on the charts in just a second. We have the fear and greed index, which we always check out, sitting right at that 59 to 60 range. So there's still more room for upside, right? We're sitting in a nice healthy range for continuous bullish momentum. And it seems like almost every day, I'm not certain how everyone is on the charts yet or comfortable. Please go check out that charting video where I educate you on how to look at the charts and how to become a technical investor and look at those from a technical perspective. But we're just gapping up and gapping down almost every single day. And that's one of the lessons I want to discuss today, is those gap opportunities. Why the stock gaps up, why it gaps down, why it may tank after earnings, kind of like SoFi did. So I'll discuss briefly about those. All right. We have our economic reports here coming in. You can see here on Tuesday, we had consumer confidence came in pretty decent there, pretty flat, but still solid. Job openings came in better as expected. So that's what spurred the market as well. All right. And what else? We've got tomorrow on Wednesday here, we got GDP and we got pending home sales at 10 a.m. So that's going to be very, very important for the market. So I want to pay close attention to that. All right. Let's jump into the charts. Jump into the charts. All right. So on the charts here, I'm going to move myself over here just so I can see my watch list. A couple of things that happened. We have this just immense bullish nature here. You can clearly see I'm on a monthly time frame, and it just seems like there's no red candle that ever comes. No pullback that ever really comes. So what's happening here is a normal consolidation, right? Just normal consolidation that happens typically leading up to an election. Now, one thing that we can notice is that it looks very similar to this momentum right here, okay? Nice consolidation, take it to the next level. Nice consolidation, take it to the next level. So as long as these tech earnings come in solid, we're probably still going to try to take out this high and go to 590 and potentially that 600 level if something crazy happens with all the tech earnings this week just blowing it out of the water. All right, so I can definitely see that happening. The tough part, in my opinion, about trading these consolidation ranges is you have to be very precise on your entries for options, okay? Now, here's one thing I wanted to show you really quick so I don't go too fast, okay? Right here at the bottom, okay, on SPY, there was a support range right at about 578 to 577. 578 on SPY is 5,800 on SPX, okay, which is the actual S&P 500. You can see here 5,800, and I come over to SPY and equals roughly around the same level, okay? So what happened this morning is we essentially just gapped up yesterday. You see this gap, consolidated, pulled back, and then we pushed down very hard to fill that gap into that level. Now, the tough part, in my opinion, about this is when these moves happen almost right off open, okay? Right off open. So what happened this morning was that about 5 to 10 minutes into the market, we had about 10 minutes where it pushed aggressively into this level. Now, there was still more room, right? Still more room. And a couple of things that were a little bit concerning is we had data, and then we also had this big heavy wick that came in right here, and then we just rebounded very quickly. So this movement right here, even though we were at a solid level, don't want to overthink it, but just for educational purposes to keep it simple, right? When we push into a support, we want to consider calls, okay? For my beginners, call, remember, pick up the phone, remember, put down the phone, okay? So you don't just want to take the position just because it is at that level. You want to react off of that level. The reaction that you typically like to see is a nice either hammer candle like this, meaning a long wick at the bottom. Okay, that means that buyers are present. Or you like to see typically some type of inverse head and shoulders or consolidation down here for at least a 15-minute candle or so. What this is typically called is what we call a V bottom. V, and then it bottoms out and rips. That's sometimes very difficult to catch because it seems like, is this the level, or it doesn't really give you a solid entry, in my opinion, based on the type of trader you are. Okay. So how do you see these top wicks that came in heavy right here? Right. So I'll give you an idea of the trade that we took, and then we'll move on from this just to give you some levels. Okay. So this is the kind of the educational piece that comes in for my traders or investors. Again, if you're a beginner and this is looking like gibberish, I'm going to clear it up for everybody. All right. So one thing I saw was a 15-minute candle. That was a decent candle right there. But on a 5-minute, it was still pulling pretty aggressively into this level. Okay. Pretty aggressively into this 5,800 level. And you could have taken some light size call contracts off of there, which I did signal for my community members. I just missed my entry personally. Now, as it was approaching, if we missed this call entry, as the gap filled, what I was looking for is potentially a reaction around these previous rejection zones around just slightly underneath 582, okay? And see if it could pull back underneath 581. And that is where we entered some of our puts. We literally top ticked these puts, and I added to them when it got back underneath 581. Why did you do that, Dr. B? It's because when it came back up here and then broke and had this strong candle that came back underneath 581 with a solid candle close on that 5-minute, I was like, man, okay, cool. It may give us that double bottom back down here, okay? Like that. So I never want to overthink these things, because if you won on this type of trade, great, right? But a lot of times this does happen, right? It doesn't always do this and grinds back up. So you've got to just trade your plan each and every day off those levels. And if the plan doesn't work, cool, right? So I did not take a trim. We were all green right here, right? And I was looking for a little bit more continuation, held my starter position, and actually added more into this 583 level, right? So my average cost was lowered significantly and was looking for a heftier pullback again like that, okay? So that was the trade that I was looking for ultimately throughout the day after we missed this call position, and it just gave us that chop consolidation grind action up the rest of the day, right? And then gave us a little drop at the end. So, hey, I'm not mad about the trade. I'm just a little upset that, it didn't kind of do what you read it to do, and that's just the market, right? But the key thing is managing your risk, keeping those risks tight and small, all right? So took a small paper cut on this, move on, right? So here we go. QQQ, here's some levels. So that was just a little education. Here's some levels on QQQ. You want to watch out for this 503 level at the top. Okay, that was a pre-market high. So watch out for 502, 503. If the market continuously gets strong, there is room up to 505. So I am watching out for that 505 level to see if that can reach and then maybe consider some puts up there, right? Or if somehow, some way, Google pulls back pretty heavily and we come back down to that 494 and get another opportunity at these lows. There's a lot of gaps down below, but we're still trending upwards. Okay, so as this grind is happening, when you have a grind up like that, it typically signals some type of elevator down trap, okay, at some point. All right, we don't know when that is. It's going to happen after the election or whatever, if earnings. So I'm not trying to short the market. I'm just trying to find a good risk to reward entry on puts, on calls. And this was one today. Right. So again, another stop right before the gap, 494, reclaimed 495 and pushed up and grinded right into 500. So a nice $6 move on QQQ. That was spurred on by a lot of the tech just grinding and making new highs. Okay. So look out for this 500 level to see if we hold tomorrow. If we continuously hold 500, 501, we'll probably spur up to 505. If we break down back below 500, we could get a little bit weak again and then break back down into this 495, 494 level. Okay, so I want to see that trend break. It could be a little bit tricky. We want to watch as a tight level up here into resistance. Not really interested in, personally, if we grind up higher to enter calls, I'll just wait. But that's just me. All right. And I want just deeper pullbacks. I got this pullback here slightly, and then we grind it up. All right. Let's speed this up a little bit here with Google. Okay. What do you do? Google hit, if you watched our video yesterday, Google went right to our level. Did it not? Went right to our level, killed the earnings, went right to 178, 180. Okay. So with this type of move, there are a couple of things that could happen. It could just consolidate up here above 178, 180, right? And then push higher into that 188. That's what I'm talking about. If SPY and QQQ continue higher, this could do one of those Tesla moves and give a continuation up to 187. And that would be the next level that I'm watching, just because it might just need a little bit of a cool off before going higher. So that's the next level I'm watching, 187 into 190. All right. So looking out for that on Google to see if it just spurs up there, or do we get a pullback that we can take it back up? All right. So with strong earnings, there's going to be a massive gap here in the morning. Okay. Very similar to Tesla. Okay. I want you to look at Tesla, this massive gap. Okay. There's going to be one of those on Google. And this is what I'm talking about. It could spur up higher into the higher levels and then want to cool off from there. All right. So just be mindful. You could play the momentum trade. Please be mindful of any pullback adding to it, but you could play the momentum call trade, meaning it just continues, right? So could look at calls off open if it does something like Tesla does, or wait for a better risk to reward pullback, maybe to around 174, 175. That would be my level right there. See if we can pull back to that 174, 175 level and then take it back up. Okay. That is the next resistance support zone that it broke through, right? So if it pulls back like this, right, then you would want to take it back up like that. Okay. So for those that are not on charts and you're just on Robinhood or other platforms, I understand if the charts look a little bit confusing. Please look out for pullback into the low 170s, 173, 174, 175. Look out for those, and then look at calls back to the upside. If it continues above and holds above 180, look for that push a little bit further into 185 and 187. Okay. All right. There's Google. We've got Amazon, Microsoft, Meta coming up. All those just absolutely ripping. Meta 606 now. Crazy. Here is AMD. Look at that. All right. AMD went all the way, grinded all the way up to 169. And this is what I'm talking about as far as the trading earnings yesterday, is that you could have a great push into earnings that you think they're just going to blow it out of the water and go higher to 180, and it just doesn't do it, right? So AMD delivers mixed Q3 results, light guidance. I do believe that they beat and the guidance. Okay, so revenue beat, EPS beat. So they had a double beat on their earnings, but that guidance was slightly off. Just the forward outlook on what they got coming, their AI push, their chip push, how they're going to compete with NVIDIA, partnerships. So there you go, right? That's what can happen. What I was talking about perfectly, from Google going to the moon, AMD looking like it's going to go to the moon, pull all the way back. All right. So AMD, I'm not really interested in touching per se. I might pay attention to it, but when AMD gets weak, it definitely gets weak. Okay, so there's a lot of folks that want AMD to really compete with NVIDIA, and in the chip sector, just absolutely, it's very difficult for this to continuously have this bullish trend like this, and then get stopped and pull back underneath that 165 yet again. So I do not want to keep my eyes off of this. I think AMD is still a competitor, but we need to see where it settles in. Does it settle in and pull all the way back down to this 143, 144 area? Or do we get this light rebound off of 150, 151? Okay. So look out for AMD down back here at 150, 151, but also do not rule it out that it could come a lot lower, depending on how the market is as well. All right. I'll wrap it up here with McDonald's, okay, and SoFi. Okay, so McDonald's just consolidating in this range, and I think they're just getting held up ultimately. McDonald's, long term, McDonald's is going to the moon, okay? They're just having a tough time right now with the E. coli outbreak, and they had a good earnings, right? So McDonald's was pushing. I wanted to trade McDonald's personally, but I did not like that it was pushing into my level pre-market. So I wanted McDonald's to kind of stay down right around here, that 288, and I wanted to catch it down here. But if you see this light gray area, that's pre-market, and then the market opened right around here at 297, and it did a quick push into 302, excuse me, and then got rejected back down, and then just kind of sideways movement for the rest of the day, right? The reject wasn't bad, meaning puts wasn't bad here, right? I did signal that or talk about it to my community a little bit during live trading, but yet again, just didn't trust it because there was a major gap above. So you can see what McDonald's did there, still rejecting that 300, 302 level. So it may want lower, and we'll be prepared for calls lower on McDonald's, or maybe consider some light puts if it breaks below this 290 level. All right. So other than that, right, just keep an eye on McDonald's. It could be a great opportunity for some calls once it kind of settles back in wherever it may find some support. Okay. SoFi. A lot of folks wondering about SoFi. This is another prime example of an earnings that killed earnings, but maybe was already priced in. Again, another example of my video yesterday that I made on earnings of how to trade them. It can be very difficult. You can make a lot of money, but also you can, fumble the bag. All right. So SoFi, what was happening here was it was pushing up from $6 to $11 into their earnings, right? So what can happen in earnings, it can do a Google move where it just takes it out and it blows it out of the water. But sometimes the earnings may already be priced in. How do you know if it's priced in, Dr. B? You don't, unless you have insider information. So that is why you kind of wait on earnings. If you're already positioned, great. Hold your shares, maybe hold some calls if you got a good entry back down here. But to go into earnings and you get this thinking it's going to take off to the moon and then it pulls all the way back to 9.5, that's a tough thing to watch for some people that wanted to trade SoFi pre-earnings. All right. So where do you go from here on SoFi? I like that it held up this $10 level, right? 9.5, 9.75 held up that. You needed to take out 12. Okay. You need to take out 12. You can position maybe an entry here or wait for a deeper pullback into these 9s and 8s levels. Okay. I like those a lot better personally because now this looks like a double top. 1, 2, double top underneath $12. So this can continue down further. All right. All right. That being said, anything else on the docket? Let me check out our earnings and I'll leave you all be. All right. What do we got tomorrow? Here we go. So we had AMD, Snap. So we'll look at those. Visa, need to take a look at. Caterpillar in the morning. And then we got our big boys, big girls right here. Our big players, Microsoft, Meta, Coinbase, Robinhood looking really, really good. Riot should be interesting. And then Starbucks, Carvana kind of sneaking in at the bottom there. Don't rule these out, okay? Carvana's been absolutely ripping. I have a serious FOMO on Carvana, okay? But Starbucks, that could be very interesting. So do not rule out these. Do not rule out these at the bottom just because there's these major players. So keep your eye on Starbucks. I want to really see what that may do because there's a big gap down below on Starbucks. And if it has any type of miss or guidance or something that's off, right, I could definitely see Starbucks doing something like this. All right, doing something like this, giving it all back. Right. So I am very interested in that personally. So we shall see. We shall see. So I need to remind myself, make a note on Starbucks tomorrow evening, afternoon. Okay. So that could be a decent opportunity for one of those straddles potentially that's worth it. All right. That being said, thank you all so much. Per usual, this was just a brief update. If there's anything that I missed or you want me to cover in another video, let me know. But looking forward to you being successful for the remainder of the week. If you're not inside of Leverage University, make sure you're inside of there. There you go. You can join the community for free. Just join on WAP and you can see and peruse around. There's some free videos. If you want to just join the chats and the club and just get acclimated, cool. But university is where you really want to start. So make sure you check out the university, the trading floor. And then if you want live trading, there's some different options there. And then our mentorship, there may be a small discount if you're watching this video and you message me potentially for our mentorship going into the new year. So let me know if you're interested in one-on-one, me working with you on getting you set up with your charts and understand fully how this game / skill set works. All right. Peace, love, and blessings to you. See you all in the next one. Bye-bye.